Good morning and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folani. Today we'll stay in Lagos, and I say that because of a very important aspect of our getting around in Lagos, even if you want transportation. And I'm talking about parking. It can be held to park in Lagos. Of course, that depends on what area of Lagos you happen to be in. But once we're talking about the built-up areas, the commercial centers, it is a problem. If you're going anywhere and there is not resident parking, then you're going to have an issue. You're going to be parking wherever you can, you know, on the streets, on the curbs, and you know, Lagos has said, no, that's not going to happen anymore. In fact, they've come up with Lagos Parking Authority, no less. There's now a parking authority. And we have the general manager of LASPA, Lagos State Parking Authority, with us, Mrs. Adebutu, I beg your pardon, Mrs. Adebisi Adelabu, general manager, LASPA. It's great to have you. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you, Uncle Yori.
Now, I'm a bit excited because, but I'm not really excited for you because you have your work cut out for you. First of all, the reputation of Lagos drivers and, you know, how they don't always want to apparently comply until you find a way to make them comply. For instance, traffic lights, for instance, we've seen that you also need to add a camera to it. So when people do what they want just because there's no traffic policeman in there, well, Lagos State still knows about it and it'll come back to bite you. So this is an instance now. It's a very crucial matter. Parking in Lagos is going to be revolutionized. Now, especially, you know, Lagos, what is Lagos without its parties, without its events? Every Saturday, there will be weddings all over the place. And we're used to area boys parking us. You know, they take full charge. They park us, and then there will be a fee to be paid. How is all of that going to stop? So I'm asking you really, what was the concept of LASPA?
Thank you. It's such a pleasure to be here. First of all, I should tell you that, as they say, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step.
Indeed.
Parking has been such a cantankerous issue in Lagos for a long time. Thankfully, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, through his themes agenda, transport being the first pillar, decided that it was time to tackle the issue. You can't tackle congestion without addressing the traffic issues, and parking issue in particular. So what he decided to do was to create the Lagos State Parking Authority, whose fundamental objective is to regulate and enforce all forms of parking across the state. That's what we're going to do.
Now, regulate. Where are we going to be parking? And I ask this because when it was with the long vehicles, the trailers and all of that.
The HDVs.
Yes. What is HDV?
Heavy duty vehicles.
Those ones. Especially, you know, there used to be a nightmare on the Apapa axis and areas of Surulere, areas of Amuwo, and so the government at the time set up parks for HDVs. I don't know the success rate of that, whether the drivers liked it, whether it was convenient. You know, it's not a matter of liking it. The law is the law. I think the philosophy of the government at the time was that you've got to provide an alternative before you can say Absolutely. You don't want them on the road. Now, when we talk about parking authority, are there going to be car parks all over the place, or it is the existing spaces that shall be managed differently?
I think it's a synergy of both, the existing car parks, and then of course the new ones that will come up. Fundamentally, parking is divided into different zones. So you have the on-street parking, which is places where it won't impede traffic and you can park on the roads. You have the off-street parking. So those are the truck terminals, you know, the multi-story car parks that are coming up. And then you have the parks and garages. Majority of the traffic in Lagos is caused by on-street traffic. And so we would look to tackle those issues first of all. Speaking to your point about the events in Lagos, yes, we're a city of entertainment. We're the entertainment capital of Africa, if I dare say so. And in our tradition, we like parties. But you can't, because of a party, disrupt the lives of Lagosians. What we're saying is, if you have a 1,000-seater event venue, you should have adequate parking to meet that. Now, there are some event centers that do have that. Some don't. And what we're saying is, when we go around and start enforcing, if we find that you don't have that, and then you also can't, there's no space to park on street without impeding on traffic, unfortunately you will have to look for alternative sites because you can't hold Lagos to ransom anymore. You know, there are areas of Agege where there are some event centers there. On a Saturday, it's a nightmare. You spend 2-3 hours trying to get through. I don't think that's fair to anybody. These are things that you should have considered before you decided to build that your event center there.
And to which I'm going to say, these facilities that, you know, it's the business to accept visitors in large numbers. They submit their plans and to the authorities for approval before commencing building. And what you're just talking about now, those who look at the plans see that there is no talk about a car park, you know, for the number of people that they're building for. And yet we see other facilities in this same Lagos that do have car park. They've gone to the extra expense of building underground car park, in some cases multi-story car parks, depending on where you are at. So it can be done.
Yes.
But in this area of the mainland, it's not usually done. And it is you people, by which I mean officials in government, that grant approval to those facilities that go up.
Well, I'll speak on my experience. Since we started the Lagos State Parking Authority, which was the latter part of last year, you'll find that most of those who are found wanting, actually, the plans they've submitted to government officials in LASPA are different from what they've actually put up. So in which case, then somebody's told a lie somewhere.
Yes.
If you submit a plan and you get your approval based on that plan, and you feel government won't come back, and then they find you wanting, you'll find that that's what has happened in most cases. And so for us, we find that that's fundamentally wrong. You can't do that. Lagos is an evolving city. Land is our oil.
But if forgive me for pressing on this matter.
Yes.
If Lagos was to be serious about this, and you pull that kind of a stunt, and then as soon as you've built it, within days, perhaps weeks, the authorities know that this is not right. Something is not kosher here. Where is the parking? They're parking everywhere but in the building. In fact, in some of those places, you probably don't have space for more than, I would say, about 40 cars, 40, 50 cars, yet they expect to be able to take up to 500 guests. But government doesn't bite the bullet and seal those places off and say, so, sorry, you can't operate, not until you comply, unless you want to do something else here.
Unfortunately, that will be the case for some of them. Some people might be fortunate enough to be able to acquire land close by, and in such case, we would advise them to do so. At the end of the day, it's a business. They can go into viable partnerships if they need extra funding to buy that plot of land or 2 plots of land next to them. Unfortunately, you'll find some places that can't have that. It's a fully developed area or a residential area in some cases, and there's no space for that. And I think that in those instances, you'll find that those are the ones that have probably submitted the wrong documents to the government to start with. I mean, to be fair, there are some event centers that do, you know, they've gone over and beyond, like you said, to make sure I have a 1,000 capacity venue, I have parking for as good as 1,000 cars. But in those cases where you can't hold the whole state or your community to ransom just because you feel like you have the right to build that there. It's not done. That's not good governance.
Is the parking meters, I don't know if Lagos is thinking about those. I don't know that we have even one or that we have any. We see this, at least on TV, you see that other jurisdictions, they have that kind of a thing. Is it that we don't have the streets that can then enable or permit parking meters, or what?
Right, so we do, not in a large number. We've taken the most of last year and even from January this year to sort of assess the roads in Lagos. Some of them are good to go in terms of being able to use technology or parking meters. Some of them, we call them recoverables, so they will need a bit of work to get it in shape. And then there are some that of course need major work. We've submitted that list, and I'm sure that the Ministry of Works will do something about it. But I should say that in terms of on-street parking, the culture is already there. People pay, and like I said, they just pay to faceless people, unregulated, you know, without recourse to the government. We understand.
AKA area boys.
AKA area boys. But then those area boys are knowledgeable. They have knowledge that you and I, Uncle Yori, don't have. They know how the areas operate. And we are saying that apply for a concession. So in that area, that localized area, you can get the right to run the business there.
Okay.
So there's a sense of accountability. You know, if something goes wrong, we know who to call.
You know, this point you just made, it reminds me that sometimes when you challenge those guys just for the heck of it, that, look, sorry, this is not yours. You can't be charging me for parking here. They say, no, it's not me. It's the local government. Come and see the ticket. Come and see the ticket. I have to deliver. Now, we know that they printed those things by themselves. That's the way we look at it. But what you just said just speaks to that. They say the local governments, you know about what they're doing. But the state government doesn't, from what you are telling us now. And things need to change. It needs to be regulated. Will that regulation... will it first of all impinge on local government revenue if indeed they were telling us the truth, or what?
Thank you for that question again. So the governor, who has been gracious enough to look into this problem and decide to take it on head on, decided that we can't start this without the buy-in of the local governments. So we've spoken to the local governments, and there's an agreement that because we are one state and we want to work together for the benefit of Lagosians, the authority should handle certain aspects of this. So the local government is important in this authority. They are part and parcel of it, and of course we'll be working together to make sure that in those places where they claim that it is the local government, it's not. Not anymore, at least. We will be able to say, look, as a concession, we expect you, we've done our homework, we know that these are the deliverables. So take a typical central business district, for instance, Ikeja or VI. You know, we fundamentally operating hours are between 7 to 7. So we have a good idea of what should transpire in terms of activity in those areas. So with those projections, we can say to any concessionaire who we feel has a good, solid business plan, submit your request for proposal. Let's look at it. And then you come in and you engage in partnership with us.
Okay.
We represent both, of course, the state and then the the local governments in terms of at least parking.
Okay, this is interesting because I hope those people that I'm referring to as area boys, and you said that a lot of them are, don't just think because they're called area boys that they're not knowledgeable. A lot of them are fully knowledgeable.
Absolutely.
Some of them might be even, you know, they might be well schooled.
Yes, I went to get my passport recently, and I was stopped there, you know. Guy said, oh, you pay 500 naira for parking. And I engaged him and I said, okay, so where's my receipt? Oh, there's no receipt. But very well spoken. So we started talking, you know. And then he said, look, we're doing this thing just so that we can feed our families. And then I asked him, I said, well, what if you were legitimate? You didn't have to hide every time a government official was coming. He gave me his number.
Because he could become a concessionaire.
He could become an agent, even if he doesn't have the power to become a concessionaire. He could become an agent for the concessionaire. And there's dignity in that. Every day, you know, you're going on with something tangible. You don't have to run from law enforcement. There's dignity in it.
Let me understand this a bit more, a bit better. You've just said there's a difference between an agent for a concessionaire and a concessionaire.
Yes.
And you also say that, look, all these very, very informal kinds of ways this is being handled, it can be refined and reformed, and so we have concessionaires. But first of all, the street is not yours. That's our argument as parkers.
Okay.
This is our street. It was built by government. And now why are you charging me on this? So they're not bringing anything to it, or are they? How do they then become concessionaire on stuff that already exists, our streets? If I'm a taxpayer in Lagos State, how does it become a concessionaire? What is it bringing to it beyond the matter of man no man? If you know people in Lagos, then that might give you, you know, a leg up in terms of getting approval.
I don't think it's a question of man no man. I think it's a question of how capable are you to run the business. Those people, like I said, that have run parking for years behind the scenes, understand the volume, the viability of the business. What we are saying is, Not everybody can run a concession because, of course, they have to bear some kind of investment into it too. They have to buy the towing trucks, they have to buy their uniforms. There are certain things they have to pay for in order for it to be a well-structured, functional business. But the state will give you the license to be able to operate in a certain area. And that's where the joint partnership comes into it. So yes, as a concessionaire, you work directly with the authority, and then you then take on these, as you call them, area boys, but I like to think that, you know, some of them are more dignified. Then we take them on, and then they run the business on a day-to-day basis. It's empowerment.
It is, but let's dive a little deeper. I was reading in stuff that's on your website that the on-street markings shall be either, you know, well, that is to say, first of all, roads earmarked for on-street parking shall be marked and properly labeled. That's the first point.
Absolutely.
Now, the on-street marking shall be either horizontal, diagonal, or vertical.
Yes.
What's that?
So it means there's some street you can park straight in the direction of traffic. Some you have to park slanted. Because you don't want to impede traffic. Some you have to park on one side of the road. You can't take both.
You can't take both.
Yes. So each of those streets will be looked into on an individual basis, and then that would be that would determine how they're lane marked. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach. What can work in Adetokunbo Ademola might be different from what will work in Sanusi Fafunwa. So those are the various kinds of parking. But I think most important, what we're doing right now is trying to get the buy-in of Lagosians. Lagosians pay for parking. Parking isn't new. As long as you have a car, you must park somewhere. What we're saying is the amount of time we spend looking for parking, the amount of traffic and congestion that parking causes needs to be dealt with. It has to be done at some point. We're a growing population. There are more than 2 million cars in Lagos. Something needs to be done, and that's why we're here.
Now, what the LASPA came into effect in 2021?
Yes.
Yeah. The law haven't been, you know, enacted before then.
Yes.
But now, that is the for the policy for the establishment. But now, LASPA as a body, Lagos Parking Authority, was in 2021. Now, when is this new parking regime expected to take off? Or I don't imagine it has already.
No. So, again, under the leadership of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, who believes that things should be done in the proper way, and of course the Honorable Commissioner of Transport, what we decided to do was to take a pilot. Like I said earlier, there's on-street parking, there's off-street parking. Off-street parking already exists. That's existing car parks. All you need to do, we want to capture the database. We need to know those people that operate that business in Lagos. For on-street, we start with advocacy, which is what we're doing now. Then, of course, lane marking and signages. Signages are important. You can't enforce without signage. And the on-street pilot will be taking place in VI and Ikeja, which are two central business district areas. That gives us an opportunity to look at what we might have done wrong, where we could improve, and it is only then that we then start to say, okay, we'll roll out in phases. We don't want to hurry into it. We'll do it in phases so that way we get it right. We need to move to the next phase. So we're covering metropolitan Lagos. We've broken up into about, I think, four or five batches of 5 local governments, and we'll be taking it in phases. So after the pilot, we'll take on the first phase. Once we're comfortable with that, we move on to the next phase. So it's a gradual thing, and then people know that it's coming. It will get round to everybody, but we want to get it right, and we don't want to rush it, most importantly.
So bringing sanity into the parking situation
Absolutely.
to further help the better flow of traffic in Lagos.
Absolutely, Uncle Yori.
Now, the other thing, because it's good you put this out there, you say the state or Lagos State Parking Authority shall not be held responsible for any cannibalization, theft, mutilization, or any adverse effect on vehicles parked on areas designated for parking in the state. What am I then getting out of it? You said if I park and my car isn't there when I come back, You said you're not liable.
Okay, so let me explain that. The reason we're giving concessions is because they need to be able to run their business.
One second, madam.
Yes.
Please hold the question in mind, or I'll repeat it if necessary.
Okay.
Mr. George has called in from Ikeja. Good morning, Mr. George.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Thank you for
calling.
calling.
Good morning to
Mrs. Adelabu, the GM of LASPA.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I think the policy, this new policy, I was wondering why Lagos State did not consider event centers when they were regulating that of banks. I know that at the time they made it mandatory for banks to have parking spaces around their premises because they were causing traffic problems. So, but there is something the lady said that caught my attention. She said the event centers that have no parking lots and all that will be made to either have parking lots or close business. When you see the proliferation of event centers and some hotels that have no parking spaces, I wonder how she's going to execute that task. I saw one hotel around Aromire Street in Ikeja, and I was told that hotel has 82 rooms with 2 event centers, event halls. But the parking space they have cannot park more than 20 cars. How are you going to deal with such situations? And they are all over the place. I'm not ending the task, but it looks very, very tough. Good morning, madam.
Okay, thank you very much.
Good morning, and thank you. That is why we're here. Of course, like I said, if, for instance, he's noticed one, he can inform us via our website, he can call in, he can send a message, and then we'll look into it. We have already had, since our creation, some hotels, some event centers have approached us trying to get a permit for where they parked. I must tell you, Uncle Riori, we've declined some of them just because we know that they're not suitable. You can't have a 50, 80 room hotel with parking for 20 cars. That's ridiculous. And we'll tell you why we've refused, why we've declined your bid. It's as simple as that. It's a mammoth task, no doubt. You can't cover all of Lagos in one day or 1 year, but like I said, we're going to be taking it in bits. So we want to make sure we get it right, as opposed to rush into it and then there's so many errors. But if there are places that, of course, are causing major problems, the public is more than welcome to inform us, phone us, email us.
Even though Lagos will know very, very well, much better than anybody who can call in, because you guys have dedicated people that go around looking for this by way of research.
Absolutely, we do.
Sure. Mazio Okoroafo, good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, my sister.
Good morning.
Good morning, my sister. Yeah, I want to find out from you. Now, if I park my car in all these circumstances, how do I identify a true copy of the receipt they will give me? Because sometimes we say Agboro, we say 1,000. Somebody may usually come and push in all some of these places, and when you come and park, you don't know it's a well-organized criminality activities. They will give you receipt. By the time you come back, you will not see your car, you will not see the person.
First of all, if you don't see your car, they've said that one. They are not liable. But let her take the question seriously. No.
Sayori, I want to find out. They say, secondly, see, some of these, when you go, they will park, they say the cars park at owner's risk. When you say cars park at owner's risk, and I've come to park my car, I'll pay a stipend, maybe agreed on what we normally call it, either per hour or per second or per. So, if I come and I don't see my car, the company must be held responsible.
Okay, she was even addressing that question before a call interrupted her, so she can go back to that question.
Absolutely. So first of all, the reason why concessionaires are running is because we expect that there are certain, based on the parking policy, we expect that there are certain fundamentals that should be in place. Appropriate size of parking bays, the amount of security you have there. depending on the capacity of your car park. You know, is it well lit? Do you have cameras? All those kind of things. We expect them to be in place.
Okay.
So that's
you would have given them these specifications anyway.
Oh, absolutely.
So
before you get your license, all those things must be, you know, we have the conversation, we let you know this is what we're expecting, and of course we have to vet. So it's not everybody is going to make the cut, but for those people that do, these are the things that they need to look into, and they must be able to deliver.
Okay.
It's important. Yes.
But that point about the security of your vehicle, as opposed to, you say that the state or the authority shall not be held responsible for any, first of all, cannibalization. That word interests me, but I won't dwell on it. Theft, mutilation, or any adverse effect. In short, Lagos State and your authority absolving itself entirely of any blame. When I've come to park at a facility, you said to me, this is the place to park. This is a safe place to park.
Yeah, but our job is to make sure that those concessionaires do as they have signed to do. So we will hold those concessionaires accountable if anything major was to go wrong.
Okay.
Unfortunately, like I've said to you, we have all these measures in place, the CCTVs and everything, so the concessionaires can monitor. If something else goes beyond that, then whoever owns the vehicle can reach out to the authority, and the authority will investigate and look into that. That's our job.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Uche in Anambra, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Yori.
Yori? Yeah.
Yeah, good morning, Chief Mrs. Adebisi Adelabu.
Good morning.
Yeah. My name is Uche, calling from Anambra. Yeah, I think from what our honorable Mrs. is telling us, I think
Uche, you didn't get to what your observation or question was going to be. In any case, it's good. We'll take a break now, but stay with us, please. We'll be right back, and we'll keep on taking your calls, as well as explanations from Mrs. Adebisi Adelabu, General Manager of LASPA. Stay with us, please. Okay, first of all, let me make a correction. It's not LASPA. It's LASPA, just LASPA, Lagos State Authority.
Parking Authority.
Lagos State Parking Authority. And we're with the GM, Mrs. Adebisi Adelabu. And thank you very much, Kennedy, for holding on all that while. Please go ahead now.
Yes.
We're so sorry. Kennedy?
Yes.
Go ahead, please.
Honorable Yori, good morning, sir.
It's just Yori, but good morning,
Don't
sir.
mind the name, I like it, don't worry. And then to the madam, too. Good morning to you, madam.
Yes.
Good morning.
Yes. First of all, I have several of them, but number one, let us look at who should collect ticket on the road or who should not collect ticket on the road. So I'm going to give you a case study, very, very obvious one. Now, take, for example, the route from Maza, just very short, between Maza and Alaba, Suru Alaba. If you are fortunate to be in a bus, I am sure you will count not less than 10 Agberos or whatever they call themselves collecting money. Some will be for, for manager. Another one will be for chairman. Another one will be for chairwoman. My first question is, what will you people do to be able to ascertain, or for the bus drivers to be able to know who to pay to or who not to pay to? Question number one. Then number two, they talked about the issue of parking places for event centers and hotels and what have you. Now, take, for example, those event centers and hotels that don't have enough space to accommodate their customers or what have you. What do you people intend to do to such when they default? Are you going to close down the hotels or such event centers, knowing fully well how much these event centers and hotels bring into the purse of Lagos State? That's number two question. Then number three, you are licensed fee collector, and I park my car under your care
and then I come back to want to get into my car and drive away. You tell me you don't know what has happened to my car. This major dent in my car that was not there by the time I parked my car. You want to tell me you will not take responsibility for it. I don't know how that is. So if that is the case,
okay, Kennedy.
I don't know if you deny it, you are going to be having a bag full of legal cases confronting you.
Okay, Kennedy. Okay, let her address.
Parking my car and then me coming back and not meeting my car completely where I left it.
All right, Kennedy. Thank you very much for the points that you raised.
Okay, so I'm going to try and take. He had 3 questions. We'll take it one by one. So I believe what he was talking about in terms of every bus stop collecting money, those are the commercial, the DAMFOs, and those are under the unions. Like I said to you, we want to tackle this thing bit by bit. The unions are a separate entity on its own. They are under the SA of transport for now. The Parking Authority, fundamentally as of today, is focused on decongesting Lagos. So what we aim to do
is decongesting traffic in
Lagos. Traffic. So, but traffic fundament is LASPA. But what we do is parking. We understand that parking causes a lot of issues. Cars break down, parking wrong places. That's why we are here. And that's what we want to deal with first of all. So to answer his question, that will be a union issue, and the union is currently under the SA Transportation. So that would speak to that. But I understand, because we're all under the MOT family, that of course they're constantly engaging the unions.
MOT as the Ministry of Transport.
Yes, that's the Ministry of Transportation. And of course, they are constantly engaging the unions to try and find a way to deal with that particular issue. His second question.
No, his third question. It was this whole matter about my car was bashed, my car was cannibalized, my car was stolen entirely, and somehow you're not liable or responsible.
I think I answered that question the first time, but I'll reiterate it again.
He added, it was his third question.
Yes, and so that's why we've said, we as an authority are not the ones on the road. People will be licensed, or having car parks. People will be licensed to be able to run that business. Now, before they can get that license, we expect certain things to be in place. What is the size of the area you want to cover? How many people do you have manning that space?
So
security-wise, it's also important.
It's also
if it's a multi-story car park, CCTV, how well lit is it? Those are things we want to make sure that they put in place.
Okay, hello, Ada in Jos. Good morning, Ada in Jos.
Good morning, Mr. Yori and DM Debbie Adelabu. I'm always happy when I see women, you know, because general managers of this kind of crazy thing, you know. You can see the kind of questions I throw at you.
Absolutely.
It's not easy. But I just pray you will get over it. You know, the traffic situation in Lagos can drive somebody crazy. That's why I don't even envy people who live there. I must tell you the truth. The policy is a good one, but just as many people have called in and talked about the security thing. So I think you've dealt on that much, but I think you should have people whose job will be to secure those cars. Because when you have people who secure those jobs, the cars, psychologically, even people will not want to attempt to come and even steal in the first instance, you know, alongside with the cameras and all that. And that will give somebody some level of confidence. It goes to show what happens in your hotels. I listen to the adverts in the hotels, big hotels. They will now be advertising, blah, blah, blah. Your safety is guaranteed. You get to that hotel. The first thing you see there is that notice. The cars are parked at owner's risk. And I begin to wonder, what's wrong with this country? All the same, let's not give up on this country. We shall get it right someday. God bless you. I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Yori, can I just speak quickly to the first gentleman that called and was saying, there are so many people that come and want to claim money for parking. How do you know who is who?
Oh, okay.
So part of us trying to restructure parking and saying the concessionaires should run it is, number one, you have to be well identified. You will wear your uniform. Your uniform will have an ID number. We understand that technology is fundamental to these kind of things. And so we've come up with a way of enforcement verification. If you feel slightly uncomfortable, you know, you don't like the manner in your approach, you're suspecting that maybe the way they've approached you, you can verify. You just need to get the number and their uniforms when we start. And that's why I said we're piloting in VI and Ikeja. These are some of the things we want to test out to make sure that they're right. USSD, WhatsApp, or via our LASPA app. And it will tell you if it's authentic or not. It only takes about 10 seconds to come up once you've entered the details.
So the verification of these agents,
yes,
you know, that's what you just spoke to now. Yeah, you're right. I think it was Uche who called in and having that concern. Say, who do you deal with now? Or who do we know how to deal with?
I think it's very important because, look, you'll find people in any society that will always think they can outsmart the system. That is the reason why we've taken time to think of these issues. I know that the Honorable Commissioner of Transport was also very keen in making sure that, look, so I get to someone, I'm feeling threatened. How can I be sure that this person is an actual concessionaire agent? How do I make sure that I'm not giving my money to the wrong person? And this is the way to do that. His number will be evident on his badge. Just check it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Reverend Dominic in Alimashaw, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Chief Yori. Good morning, your gentle lady there.
Good morning, sir.
Mrs. Adelabu.
Mr. Adelabu. George has said, my brother George has said much about what I want to say, but I want to say this, Yori. This is our Lagos, and we are making policies every day. Could we have enlightenment? Yori, I don't go to Lagos with my car now because I'm scared. The road you passed yesterday because of construction, which is very good, and you pass again today, either it's one way or it's marked. And before you enter there, one agency of government have heard you, and the fan is on top of the roof. I told you I paid 40,000 early this month. And why did I pay that 40,000? I'm not still happy about it. That my vehicle license expired. Vehicle license expired on 21st, and camera cost me on 24th. If we used to have one month grace, if a vehicle expired on January, you do it on December. Now this 2 days, and I don't know. And if I don't know, who we know? You know, I'm a licensed, I'm in media, I'm a pastor, I'm an advocate. If I don't know such law was made, who will know? Madam, please, you should do some advocate. You are making law for people, not for people for law, but law for the people. There may be enlightenment. Where and where? This I don't go to Lagos again because with my car, I now use Uber to be in the safe place. Let there be enlightenment for this smart Lagos. So we don't do the great Lagos, and the people who are supposed to use it are drowning in pain. And again, the fines in Lagos is too high. 20,000 for an error, for offender.
How much did you call it, Reverend Dominic?
20,000 for first offender.
I was going to say.
And the other one, they say, good one, they 20,000, 40,000 naira.
Okay. That's because you combine two.
24th.
You combine two offenses, Reverend Dominic. And each is 20 naira a pop. But I hear what you're saying. The governor is hearing it, or his representatives are hearing it. Mrs. Adelabu is hearing it. The fine is too high. Now, I know that's not your own area, but at least you've heard that the fine is too high.
So let me speak to that briefly. Like you rightfully said, it's not my area. But to tackle the congestion and traffic problem in Lagos, it is a holistic approach. The Honorable Commissioner of Transport has said, look, it can't just be parking alone. It has to work in tangent with LASPA, LASMA, VIO. Everybody needs to play their part. If you don't have proper vehicle inspection certificate or roadworthiness, you get your car on the road, it breaks down. That becomes a traffic problem. It becomes a parking problem as well. So what we're saying is, yes, if you're a car owner, make sure your papers are in order. If they are not, there's no reason why they shouldn't be. Of course, there should be some kind of measures to say, don't do that next time, right? Now, if your car is in order, we don't expect that it should break down, because that is also a part of the problem. You know, anytime for instance, take the Oworo-Shoki Expressway, every evening, the amount of cars that break, and that's the fundamental reason why we have all this traffic gridlock happening in that area, because cars break down. So VIO must do their job. LASMA will make sure traffic is flowing. We will make sure that, okay, they are not parking indiscriminately, you understand? And it is that synergy that will ensure the free flow of traffic to make sure that productivity is at its optimum for Lagosians.
I hear you, and well, let me not allow you to, because I was going to say, in addition, sometimes you get the feeling that there are far too many cars for the roads of Lagos State. And sometimes when it comes to a T-junction and an intersection, it just locks up. But let me bring in Alhaji Subaya. Good morning, Alhaji Subaya.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ayo. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, thank you, and good morning to your guests.
Yes.
Good morning.
Yes, ma'am. You see, my point is My point with this, traffic congestion or Lagos congestion, like Madam said, if they want to tackle this issue, they should tackle it holistically. Holistically in the sense of what? Lagos we know is not what we are seeing now. Lagos we know before is not what Lagos is now. Let's say the fact. The holistic approach Madam is talking about, it has to be done holistically, because who are the people causing it? Is it the NURT? You see, when you call Lagos State a mega city, there must be, the government must be, must insert their presence in governance and making things adequate. You see, it is so barbaric, the way the NURT, even operates in Lagos. The mega city is supposed not to be in that form. The people that is causing the most, the 90% or 80% of voters is the NURT. Let's call it spade a spade. So it's not question of parking. So that is the issue. I will like Madam, like he said, whether it's VRO, LASPA or whatever. No. You see, look, the congestion is emanated from these buses everywhere.
Okay.
So let the approach be holistic, like Madam said. Thank you very much.
Indeed. Thank you very much. I know that there's a whole master plan for transportation in Lagos. Very shortly, even NURTW is going to have to go through changes, because I understand that the yellow buses, the downfalls and all of that will eventually, in the fullness of time, be phased out, carrying these people along.
Uncle Yori. Absolutely. The government is constantly working to see how best we can tackle these issues. I know since I assumed office that I've also been working closely, like I said, with the Commissioner and of course the SA to make sure that we tackle these problems. Yes, there are certain constraints, but the unions, the NURTWs and the other unions which is mentioned, the SA is trying to find a way to make sure that those encumbrances are dealt with, and swiftly as well. In terms of the holistic approach, the Honourable Commissioner has also looked at that. It's not a one, for instance, I tell people what will work in Victoria Island won't necessarily work in Okokomaiko, So there are certain things that we need to look at, and we're taking it phase by phase to make sure that we get it right. The way and manner in which congestion will be tackled in Ikeja might be quite different to how it will be tackled in Surulere. The fundamentals might be the same, but you'll find that in terms of approach and how things are coordinated will be different, which is why as a parking authority, we don't want to rush in. We're saying we'll take it in phases to make sure that we get it right.
Okay. Okwe in Alimosho, good morning.
Good morning, Uncle Lori.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for calling.
Yeah. And good morning to your guest.
Good morning, sir.
It's a good thing for new parking policy in Lagos. But in a situation like where I live in Alimosho, the road is not good. How will you say you are coming to my street to enforce when the road is not good and you want me to pay for the ticket or whatever? The road is not, all the inner road in the Alimosho area is not good. If you want to start the parking, which means you have to start from maybe VI, Ikoyi, where the road is okay, Surulere, the road there is okay, but you can't come to Agege because people are doing party, and you say, throwing their people, they have to buy ticket or whatever you want to do.
Okay.
And moreover, you can't say, okay now, because you are doing parking. Alimosho local government chairman, you can't clamp his car. They will say because you know somebody in the parking department, nothing can be done. So which means you are going to do, all these things will be affecting the ordinary layman on the street, people like us.
All right then. Thank you very much, Okwe, for calling in, because your question has reminded me of another aspect of parking. And, there are people who don't have parking facilities in their homes. So a guy or a girl might be in a room and parlor, for instance, of a tenement, and she or he has a car and there is no space within the yard. What people like that do, and they do it in other places of the world too, you park on the streets in front of your house. We do that in Lagos. In fact, we park on streets that are not the front of our house.
Sorry to interrupt you, Uncle Yori. In other parts of the world, when you park on the street, what do you put on your car?
Well,
so that they ensure that you're actually a resident of that area.
Oh, okay. I guess there's a sticker.
Absolutely.
There's
it's
a
called
sticker.
a residential permit.
A resident. Okay. Yeah.
Now.
Well. Sorry to interrupt you.
Okay.
Residential permits in gated communities. I'm talking of Lagos now.
Yeah.
Yes. But, you know, Koshofe Street, Mawamiwale Street, and all the other normal streets that the majority of us live in, we also will need a residential permit?
So I'm going to take it from, I remember we discussed this earlier. I had said that we're not rolling out all at once. We're taking it in phases. We've looked at all the local governments and the state of some of the roads. Some are good to go. Some require a little bit of work. We call them recoverables.
Okay.
Some are in need of major work. We are not going to enforce in areas where you can't, where there's impossible to enforce. It's unrealistic.
Okay.
Which is why, like I keep on saying this again, it's not, we're not enforcing statewide at once. Because we understand. So we're looking at where are the key traffic areas? The central business districts. We're piloting in Ikeja Central Business District. We're piloting in Victoria Island Central Business District. Once we look at ways, correct our errors, see where we can improve, see what is working, then we'll take it on and look at what other central business district areas do we want to cover, and then do them in phases of 5.
I got you.
That's the best way to ensure that. So we've started work, for instance, if we roll out on the first phase of 5 this year, we're already thinking ahead. The next 5, what work do we need to do?
Okay, so that answers our first question, hopefully. Maria in Anthony, good morning, ma'am, and thank you for holding on. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, good morning.
I thought it was... Are you Maria?
Yes.
Okay. Carry on, please.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Please, I don't know, I can't even understand what is going on in Lagos now.
Okay.
With the issue of the VIO, for you to get your document complete, you have to bring your car for tests, this and that. But to my surprise, I've been there so many times, I'm not able to attend to. But I've never seen any of these public buses that doesn't have traffic light, doesn't have anything coming there for tests. That maybe, I don't know, maybe they are selected for the car owners, but the buses are not involved.
So how these buses pass their roadworthiness tests, and then your own car will have issues? I guess that's what you're saying. Well,
yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
And secondly, so many times you see the buses violating rules.
Sorry, have you finished?
I think we lost.
Well, I didn't quite understand. First of all, I don't know, Mr. Maria. I didn't quite understand that, unless Maria is his surname. But he says he doesn't. Again, he's going out of your lane.
Absolutely.
He's going out of your lane.
Absolutely.
But you see, the Lagos takes transportation so seriously that we've had quite a number of transportation agencies come in, and we talk with them, and anything that has to do with my leaving my house in the morning with my car and everything I experience, from go slow to parking, any any transportation person that they see, they will ask them these questions. So that's why you got this question about the
VIO.
The VIO, which is about roadworthiness and all of that. I don't know that you want to spend particularly...
Well, I mean, I can touch on it briefly. Why wouldn't we want to make sure our roadworthiness is there? The reason they've asked for physical inspection is to make sure that your car is what you say it is. I think Lagos is growing.
Yeah, but the question, well, not so much the question, the funny part of it is that people see the condition of downforce, yellow downforce, and they are on the road, which means that they must have passed their vehicle inspection. And my car, because the one trafficator is not working, you write me off the road. So I think Okwe was relating to not the unfairness of it all.
The unfairness of it all. Well, I will reiterate his message to the head of VIO, and I'm sure he will look into that.
Indeed. Well, thank you very much for coming on, Mrs. Adebisi Adelabu, General Manager of LASPA. And you've also let us know that this is a plan, and it's like a rolling launch. There will be pilot schemes, one after the other. It's not as if, bam, if you park yourself, if you park anywhere in Lagos in the next 2 weeks, no, it's not like that. No. It's a study at the moment.
Yes, and for on-street parking.
For on-street parking.
For off-street parking, those people that already pay for their setbacks. If you have a multi-story car park, of course, you have to come and register with us. We have to issue with the license. But for on-street parking, which is what affects majority of Lagosians every day, we're going to run our pilot.
And so when that time comes for the big parking people, that is event centers and all of that, there shall be concessionaires, there will be agents to concessionaires.
If you go on our website now, there's more. You can read up the parking policy there.
There you go. Do you know the website is what? Lagos LASG?
www.laspa.lg.gov.ng.
laspa.gov.lg.gov.ng. Where you got that? Say it in one flow, please.
www.laspa.gov.ng.
You got it. So you can find out everything you've said.
Absolutely.
And more. Well, I want to thank you very much, DBC, for coming on.
My pleasure, Uncle Yori.
Wish you all the best.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, so that's our program. I don't know. I was going to say happy parking, but not yet. Not yet. Chill a bit. We're still working on it. Okay, so that's our program today. Please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Yori Folarin. Bye-bye for now.